pull up Discord on your laptop?
No, I don't. Hello, welcome to today's episode of Juicing the Numbers. I'm your host, Joshua Tracy.
And I am Corwin Heller.
And we're back in the same room.
Yeah, I have to look at you when I record now.
Yeah, it's almost that time of year. We'll have a few more of the Discord sessions before you're back full time. But welcome back in the interim.
Yeah, I think it's time to end the podcast.
It might be.
It's just too much.
It might be if we have to keep doing this face to face all the time. So today is our non-stats episode. So Corwin and I were going through topics, headlines, different things, and we concluded that this might be the most boring week in sports outside of the few updates there were in the Astros scandal.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
there's not much.
Yeah, people always talk about the summer being slow because it's really only baseball. But this is just there are 4 or 5 major sports going on right now, and there's nothing happening really with any of them that we haven't at least touched on previously. Yeah,
we even checked NBA. There's the most exciting thing that's happened in the NBA was when Ben Simmons scored that 3-pointer.
And that was
a week
fantastic.
Ago.
Was it really?
Well, now it was 3-4 days ago.
Okay, I was going to say, damn, is my life that crazy that, and by crazy I mean totally boring, that 2-3 days ago seems like a week already, or a week ago is already, fuck it. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, just fuck it.
Yeah, I think the most exciting sports-related thing that we had to talk about is us going to the Jets-Raiders game on Sunday.
Yes, can't wait.
This will be your first NFL game of the season?
This season, yeah.
Yeah, right on.
At first I was thinking, no, I'm pretty sure I've been to an NFL game before. Oh, yeah, no, definitely this season.
This would be my second game of the year.
What was the first one you went to?
Well, it can't be worse than the first one, because the first one was Jets-Pats.
Yeah, I remember that.
Fucked.
I didn't know you were going to that, and I just saw Kel's story of you two sitting at the game, and I had the Jets-Pats game on. I was I am very glad I am not sitting next to Josh right now.
Well, I was telling Kel I felt so bad because you knew it was happening.
Oh yeah.
I almost refused to go watch the Jets play good teams because we're not good enough to make it exciting. We're gonna lose. You walk into the stadium. You walk in. I walk into the stadium against bad teams, going, we're gonna lose. When you walk into the stadium as a Jets fan against a good team, you go, all right, how bad's this gonna get? And that was worst case scenario.
That is exactly how I feel about the Penn State-Ohio State game tomorrow. But Penn State's still a top 10 team. But I'm still I've given up any hope that it's going to be a close game and we're going to get blown out for sure. But we're still a top 10 team. We should be good, but it's yeah.
It makes it easier for you as a fan because either you roll in there and you walk in with a mindset you're going to get defeated, and either you get defeated and you go, yeah, I was ready for this. It sucks, but I was ready for this. Or they win and you go, we're the best team in the world. I mean, my God, how great are we? If you walk in there saying we're going to win and they lose, it's complete turmoil.
I was going to say, what's worse, losing a game that you were, winning most of the game and then lose it in a heartbreaking fashion, or losing a game that you had no right to be a part of, but you were still super close to winning?
Losing a game you had no part in winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't...
It's that little glimmer of hope that they give you.
Yeah, right before they stick the knife in.
Oh, God.
And that's why we watch so much of it.
Yep, that's why we are addicted.
So we figured for today's episode we could go over just a few kind of little updates on things, as well as some upcoming baseball stuff. So what do you want to start with?
I guess since we ended the last one on the Astros, do you want to talk about, has there been any major updates or even little updates? Because nothing major is going on.
So we talked about this before we started recording, but it seems like there's not a lot really going on with it right now. Major headlines are being made out of small things like Jim Crane not wanting to talk about. Why is it news that Jim Crane doesn't want to talk about the cheating scandal?
I wonder why.
That's what everyone involved in the Astros organization should have been saying from the start, is we don't want to talk about that, and yet they kept doing it. So it's not news. I don't want to talk about that. much like Jim Crane. I don't think there's anything. Is there anything? I don't think there's anything, no.
It just reminded me because you have a George Springer Astros jersey on the wall. Are you going to burn the jersey, Josh?
You know what's funny is I actually thought about that.
Yeah.
Because, like, for once, I actually already have the thing.
Right.
I wouldn't have to go out and buy it. I already own it. I'm not going to.
I've never burned a jersey as a fan. I probably never will unless something spectacularly awful happens. But I feel like it would be a fun experience, just like with your friends burning some jerseys.
I'd rather burn a jersey.
Oh, yeah. But that doesn't have the same kind of, like, gravitas to it.
And see, that's the problem. Is I also often thought about this whenever you see like musicians like trashing their gear at the end of a set. It's like, yeah, like that looked cool, but like I'd take that from you. Like if you're so, it's like if you're so committed to being like this, like give it to me, like give it to a kid, like don't do that.
Like that guitar is so much nicer than anything I will ever own.
That guitar also costs like so much money.
Yeah.
Or like when you see Keith Moon like destroy his like multi-$1,000 drum kits, it's like, fuck, dude, so much of that could be rent. Like,
was that worth it? Like,
it never is. That's how I feel about burning jerseys, and that's why like I get why people buy the fake Chinese ones, but then it's like, do you want to burn a fake Chinese jersey? Because you're like definitely gonna get cancer.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, like 100%. So,
see, like I feel like I don't like buying Chinese jerseys anymore, just because if I'm gonna buy a jersey, I want to invest in one that I know is like nice quality, will last me a good while. You know, like if you're gonna invest money in it, like $30 for a jersey, $150 for shipping from China, because that's just the way it is. Might as well just spend that money on a nice jersey.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'll buy cheap jerseys if I have a reason to buy a cheap jersey. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I bought them in high school just because I was poor. But you know, now I work not for a living, but I have a job and I can afford nice things.
Yeah, having a job is nice. Yeah, fuck the unemployed.
Yeah. Listen,
what y'all doing with y'all time?
Man, look at the time.
So nothing to really say on the Astros. Is that what we're concluding?
Yeah, no, I just brought it up to talk about burning jerseys.
Do you want to? Let's talk about Myles Garrett, so we can just, I guess, conclude this with nothing but baseball.
You mean UC Smollett?
Yeah, Myles Smollett, Juicy Smollett Garrett.
Is it Smollett? I don't know why I bother pretending like I know how to pronounce names.
It's tough because Dave Chappelle made fun of him in his stand-up special and gave him a fake name, which was Juicy Smollett. I forget. All right, so the real first name is Jesse. The fake first name is Juicy. Mm-hmm. After that, it gets dicey for me. so I don't know. Either way,
at the end of the day, who fucking cares?
So his indefinite suspension got upheld. A few other things got rearranged, like
Marquise Pouncey got
reduced a game.
Yep. Still won't play in the Browns game, which is fine because there's no way they would have played him anyway.
Yeah. So, what do you make of the indefinite suspension being upheld?
I think it's still the right call. I mean, I was on this podcast spouting out how a bunch of things should happen, and they really need to buckle down on this. And even many, many days after the fact, I 100% agree that it is a fit punishment for the crime. I think it. I don't think the indefinite should hold into next year if he if he does what he has to do. And I guess the big wrench that's been thrown into this is his accusations against Mason Rudolph.
Yeah. Oh. So, all right, I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, I'd rather the NFL be too thorough with it. So I get why I was surprised they upheld the suspension a little bit, just because it feels like if you argue a suspension, the NFL always goes, "All right, well you came in, so we'll take a few games off." Like.
It's like a professor being like, if you come to my office hours, I'll give you a bonus point on the exam.
Yeah. Like, and this is so funny because the NHL works that way too. It's like you're almost guaranteed to get like, all right, shut up. We'll take a game off. Like, leave the office. So I was a little bit surprised on that front that they upheld the indefinite suspension. I'm assuming that they leaving it indefinite so that they can just come to a full conclusion and have all the information that they want on how long that he should be out for and whatnot. Because I don't think that indefinite suspension, it's not like he's been banned from football for life. It's still just a suspension.
It's not like he smoked weed.
Oh yeah, how dare he if he did? It's the how dare he partake?
I'm sorry, I got so angry. I was high at the time.
Yeah. What was it? Roseanne Barr said she took an Ambien before the races.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, maybe he just took some Ambien.
Yeah.
It makes you do wild things.
Loosens you up, so all that deep-seated racism just sparks on out.
Well, now we're talking about Mason Rudolph. Let me get your take first.
I 100% believe that there was nothing said. I really just don't think there was. No one on the Steelers heard anything. Mike Tomlin didn't say anything, or said he didn't hear anything from anyone. None of the Browns players outside of Myles Garrett knew about anything of the sort until reporters started asking them about the accusation. The NFL looked into it and found no reason to suspect it happened, and we're not going to pursue it after that. I don't know what Myles Garrett was thinking. He's most definitely a smart guy. He knows what's up. He has to understand that with the number of players on that field surrounding him that are mic'd up during the game, they'd have to be able to pick up on the fact that no one said anything. I mean, he called Larry Ogunjobi a bitch because he was being a bitch.
Oh, yes.
The guy that came in, shoved him to the ground after the fact.
The guy that was there being a bitch.
Just Mason Rudolph on the ground looking up. Bitch? That will go down as probably my favorite GIF of all time. It's just so fitting. But, man, it's such a bad look for Myles Garrett. I mean, you attempted to kill a man, Browns fans. That's kind of what happened. He easily could have done serious damage to Mason Rudolph with that, and he's still making it worse with shit he's saying.
All right, I'm gonna play both sides here,
as you should.
So I can paint as much of a picture as I can.
I'm playing both sides, so I always come out on top.
You shouldn't be saying that.
Fat Mac.
Oh, that was the Fat Mac season. Yeah. All right, so on the one hand, you tend to want to believe people when they say someone said something racist to them.
100%.
Because why would anyone lie about that? That's
exactly.
An insane thing to lie about. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, if there was ever an instance to lie about that, this would be it. Not Mason Rudolph. Myles Garrett is being investigated, or at least, being tried in some way for a really, quote-unquote, heinous and aggressive act. And in some ways, you can justify that by saying something heinous was said to you, even if it wasn't. In terms of it being said, would the NFL have tape of it? Of course they would. Now, if it was true, would the NFL be willing to put out the tape of it? And that I would severely doubt. So, if you want to be a conspiracy theorist about it, you could definitely say that the NFL has it, and it was said, and it was caught on mics, and the NFL is just not going to put it out to save face. Which would be fair, but on the flip side of that, no players on either side said that they heard it, and there was enough players there involved in the action it would have been, more than capable of coming out and saying that they did hear it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty severe thing. It's not like Mason Rudolph called him a motherfucker, because no one would be offended by that, and people would be like, yeah, sure, no, using racially charged language, people should be comfortable saying, yeah, he said that, he needs to apologize for it, because if not, then that could throw the Steelers' locker. The NFL is so black. The NFL is so black. If Mason Rudolph is out there as the leader of the team de facto because of the QB position, shouting slurs, he would have to answer to that in his own locker room, whether it's in a moment of crisis or not. So the fact that no one's saying he said anything aside from the accused, that's pretty sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, he has 5 offensive linemen that are black, I mean, all of his receivers outside of Brian Switzer, so all of his receivers are black. I mean, every one of our running backs is black. I mean, what you want to say about the rest of the NFL, the guys he plays and practices with, and the guys in charge of protecting him on every single play, if this was true, and Mason Rudolph said those things, I honestly think you might have to seriously consider benching him, because I just don't know how, especially with the chemistry issues the Steelers have had in the past. I don't think he's been playing well enough on the field to justify making a locker room issue out of this.
Oh, of course not. And we're not bringing up the blackness of the Steelers or the NFL to say, why would he say it? He has so many black friends.
Right, exactly.
It's that these are people who would very readily be offended by a no-name backup quarterback dropping a hard racial slur like this. They'd have no reason to defend him. And thus far, everyone is. So, did Mason Rudolph say anything? I'm inclined to say no.
I am as well.
Which really sucks, because I don't like being the guy that disagrees with that shit. But at the same time, it just seems so overwhelmingly like he didn't. All that people have is Myles Garrett's word and the possibility that the NFL has it mic'd up and isn't going to release it. And that's not a lot.
And if the NFL hasn't released it, why would that be a good business decision to essentially throw one of its star defensive players, who before this was probably the biggest rising star on the defensive side of the ball, with the highest chance of becoming the next Aaron Donald type player, for a guy like Mason Rudolph, who in all likelihood after the season probably is done with his time being a starter in the NFL?
If it is recorded and they're not going to release it, do you think, let's say it exists, do you think it'll be used to help determine the Myles Garrett punishment?
Oh,
because if they have it, why wouldn't it come into play?
Oh, absolutely. Even if they don't publish the fact that it did happen, and whatever they say behind closed doors, that should absolutely be a factor in the punishment for that. Because if Myles Garrett's doing that essentially out of cold blood, that's really huge. If he's doing that because he is extremely emotional after being called a just truly horrific thing, okay, there's some reasoning behind that. There's...
It adds to the heat of the moment kind of thing.
Oh, sorry. If a court of law would take those kind of things into account, then why wouldn't the NFL? And of course that doesn't make any sense, because the NFL has shown that they never follow precedents like a court of law would.
Not.
You kind of hope that at some point they figure it out.
Yeah, it's also tough, because you'd make it even further. Let's say that it does exist, and they do use it to help mitigate the suspension on Myles Garrett. They've already come out and said that it doesn't exist, so they'll definitely never release it. If it does exist after they say they didn't exist, and they use its existence to help reduce the suspension, it'll never come out.
Who's going to be the NFL whistleblower?
Yeah, for real.
Imagine if someone in the on the congressional committee hearing these impeachment hearings is a huge Cleveland Browns fan, and they call him in or issue a subpoena to Roger Goodell. Did Mason Rudolph say the word? I need to know right now. You are under oath, sir.
Also, if they released it, every single team would stop micing their players up.
Oh,
not even because they're afraid all their players are going to say some weird ass racial shit. But Sam Darnold already had that issue this season where the NFL released some shit he didn't want out, and now if this comes out too, that's a lot.
Especially since players, they don't have to be mic'd up if they don't want to. I mean, they are allowed to say no to that. If players start getting punished because of these kind of things, granted, if he did say the thing, he should be punished for it.
Oh, 100%.
But just to be safe, these guys are not going to want themselves to be mic'd up.
No, players already, if they are the mic'd up one, they already warn other players that they're the mic'd up one when they go have a conversation.
And it's always hilarious.
It is, but players are already adjusting for it, and if you start using the things that they say against them, not to say whether you like using it against them is right or wrong, like based on the things they say. But if you start doing it, then yeah, more players are just gonna be like, no, thank you.
And hell,
I'm
even
okay.
NFL Films on the sidelines has those microphones that are able to pick things up on the field anyway.
Yeah, the directional mics.
Yes, I could not remember the term for it, but yes.
Yeah, it's so funny, those things, because it's one of those things you don't realize, like you don't know what to look for until you look for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
They're everywhere.
well, and also they're in every sport. Like, have you ever been to a pro basketball game?
Yeah.
How weird is it not hearing the shoe squeak?
It's weird.
It's fucking weird.
Weird. I honestly, to this day, I'm surprised that's as big of a like thing that nobody talks about. Because when you watch basketball on TV, there's almost no squeaking at all. When you're at a game, you can hardly focus because it like if you don't go to a lot of basketball games, which I've only ever been to a handful, it's overpowering.
It's funny, right?
Yeah, like I talked to a girl in high school and it's like, hey, you want to come to a basketball game with me? And she's like, no, I refuse to go to basketball games because the squeaking just drives me nuts. And I was like, oh, you're crazy. And then I went. I was like, no, she's right. This is nuts.
All right. Any concluding thoughts on the Myles Garrett thing?
What
do you think the next piece of news we're going to hear about it is?
I don't know, man. I feel like it's gotten to the point where like you can't predict what's going to happen next. Because I never would have predicted him accusing Mason Rudolph of saying, what he believes he said.
Yeah, no, that was like a scene from a movie about a football player who hits another football player over the head with a helmet.
Yeah.
Where like he walks into the courtroom and he goes, "That man called me," and then it's like, "Oh!" and it happened in real life.
I fully expect, like, to answer your original question, I fully expect Myles Garrett to come out with like a video apology saying like, "Oh, I thought I heard it, but after listening to the tapes, I was clearly misinformed or like misinterpreted what he was saying. I'd like to apologize to Mason Rudolph and the Steelers," and just one of those just to save face.
He does one of those weird, like, you know how OJ has nothing but Twitter videos now?
Yep.
One of those weird OJ style ones.
And his videos are always fun.
His videos are fucking bizarre.
Because he's still very crazy.
Oh, yeah. That looks like a man who killed someone.
Well, two people.
Two people, yeah. Well, one was a woman. They don't count.
They don't count. Was it like 3/5? That's a woman. 2/5.
What's our next piece?
Let's get away from race, please.
Yeah. You want to talk about the White Sox?
Sure.
So
Josh, I said let's get away from race. Don't call it that.
Yes, the Caucasian Sox.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the White Sox signed Yasmani Grandal to a contract. That's the Jose Abreu one. They
signed Jose Abreu to an extension.
They did. They did. I guess I'll get to that in a second. Where the fuck is it? I had it up. God damn it.
Is it under one of your other 650 tabs?
All right, you leave my tabs alone.
No, because it's absolutely maddening. I caught myself this week when I was studying for a midterm with like 30 tabs open, and disgustingly, I stopped what I was doing to consolidate and close them all.
Do you have more tabs open on your laptop or your like phone internet?
Usually
phone
my phone
browser.
Well, I don't know. Like, if I.
Because the thing is, I never think to close them because you can only see one at a time. So every now and then, I'll look up in the top right corner. It'll say like 25, 30. And I'll be like, holy shit, what do I have open? And I'll go back and I'll be like, oh, why do I have Bill Buckner's stats page open? Like, let's get that shit closed.
Usually it's my laptop because I'm doing more things at once. So I'll have like 5 windows open for like 5 separate things that I'm working on. And then on my phone, it'll usually just be like 3 or 4 tabs just because looking stuff up. But if I forget about it, it easily turns into like 30, 40 overnight.
Oh my god, yeah, it happens so fast. Anyway, so Yasmani Grandal's contract is 4 years, $73 million. So it's $18.25 million per year, which, as was his goal 2 years ago, he wanted to make sure that he was increasing his AAV every season as a service to, well, one, him, but also catchers as a whole. They didn't want to decrease the value of the catching market, and he has done so. Very well, I may add.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, so this is a nice addition for the Chicago White Sox, who also just today, we're recording this on Friday the 22nd, announced that they signed Jose Abreu to a 3-year, $50 million extension, so they have those two pieces locked in. Grandal is a great offensive catcher. He's a switch hitter. He's also a very good defensive catcher. I was telling Corwin at this before we started recording, James McCann is apparently by far the worst defensive catcher by framing in all of baseball. Apparently it's like by a lot, whereas Yasmani Grandal is second best. So it's like a huge difference in that quality right there, and their depth chart's looking pretty tidy there in the infield heading into next season.
Yeah, they've got some holes to fill, but that's a team that'll definitely be on the up and up sooner rather than later.
As I've been preaching,
I want to look up their prospects. Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be a good thing to see. Yeah, I'm really excited for what this team could be in a few seasons, because, and this is another thing that we were saying at the outset of this is a good season for them to get starting pitching. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of starting pitchers outside of like the marquee dudes who I'll ask what that was about in a second. Outside of the marquee guys who are up, like Garrett Cole and Steven Strasburg, there's a lot of like nice depth pieces that they could pick up that just could be like, like 2-3 WAR players, role fillers, decent dudes that could absolutely be snatched up, and those could be the guys that the White Sox end up being able to cling to, because they'll be left kind of behind by the bigger market teams that are looking to pick up starting pitching, like the Dodgers might, the Red Sox might, the Yankees might. I doubt the Astros because they have no money and are, going through a whole a whole thing right now.
They're going through a tough time in their life.
Yeah, they're struggling over there in Houston. So it could be pretty interesting to see, like, who is here? Cole Hamels, though apparently his market's pretty bolsterous, has came out today, but he's 36, and I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't believe that either.
Yeah, Dallas Keuchel on the market could be a good fit for them. Rick Porcello, I know isn't a sexy pick, but he'll give you innings.
Exactly. They've got some, high risk, high reward kind of pitchers on that roster right now.
Yeah,
having a guy like Rick Porcello to kind of even things out wouldn't be bad.
Tanner Roark. Sure. Like, that's the thing. They don't need, like, obviously every team needs an ace, but just for them to be competitive, like, they don't need an ace. Like, they could just get, because Lucas Giolito counts as their ace. He's really good.
Well, this year he became good. If he can keep what he was doing, unquestioned, he is their ace.
And then, so all you need is, like, back end of the rotation, which you can get, like, listen to Andrew Kashner, Kyle Gibson, Ivan Nova, who's obviously familiar with the White Sox. Madison Bumgarner will probably fetch actually a pretty decent amount. Zach Wheeler, who they've already been interested in apparently. Tyson Ross. Like, there's names here that could not suck. Like there's names of dudes here who could very readily not suck, and that's all the White Sox need, because that plus outfielders, because their infield lineup is actually good.
Oh, absolutely. And boy, do they have prospects.
Read them out to me, baby.
So their top prospect right now is Luis Robert, MLB's number 3 overall prospect as an outfielder. He essentially is going to be the next big-name guy to break into the majors. I mean, from what I've heard from scouts and media guys who talk about him, people love Luis Robert. They think he's going to be spectacular. They got a couple pitchers coming back from injury in 2020. Michael Kopech, who's the number 17th overall player, and Dane Dunning. He was in the top 100. I don't think he still is, but that's fine. He's coming back from injury along with Kopech. If you need those guys at the back end of your starting lineup, 2 top 5, prospects coming out of, your farm, that's how you do it. Andrew Vaughn, a Golden Spikes winner at first base. And then they have Nick Madrigal, who's a former, I think, top 3 pick at second base. all big name guys. They really, if they want to move these guys for big name players and make a push now, they can. Otherwise, if they let them keep growing, they're going to have themselves a nice young team in 2 years.
Yeah, especially in a division where they could be competitive pretty quick.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Royals are probably where the White Sox were like 2 seasons ago. So they're not anything to worry about right now.
Mm-hmm. Also, the fact that they are the Royals, and usually they aren't.
Yeah, but they can be. We'll see. We'll see. The Tigers are a fucking mess.
Oh, yeah.
So you can write them completely out of anything remotely close to competitive for the next, I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to say they don't compete seriously for 5 or 6 years.
I don't think that's that bold.
Well, it's crazy in the world of sports because they've been uncompetitive. They haven't been competitive for
Very
4
true.
years already. So
I'm thinking of this as the starting point, but no, the starting point was a long time ago.
yeah, they probably there's going to be a solid decade of just waste.
Fuck, dude.
For the Detroit Tigers.
If only they had 5 World Series winning pitchers and multiple Cy Young awards.
And, a few, batting champions or something,
You know what? Just throw a guy in there who wins the Triple Crown.
Maybe 1 or 2. So, yeah, the Tigers are not a threat in any way. The Indians, depending on what they decide to do in the next few years, could either stay strong or fade away because, if they trade Frankie, I know, fingers crossed it's not the Dodgers.
Honestly, if they traded them to, a lovable team.
Like the Astros.
And they get a good return, it'll be, bittersweet. But if they trade him to the fucking Dodgers, man.
It would hurt so much.
God, it would be bad. Only team worse would be the Yankees.
I don't get all the Dodgers fans saying that they're going to trade for Corey Seager for Francisco Lindor because is it an upgrade?
No,
probably, but is
I
it
would much rather have Frankie than Seager.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Is it an upgrade for the Dodgers to have Francisco over Seager? It is, but is it that much of an upgrade to go that far out of your way for it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it just seems like you're doing so much work for what would definitely be an upgrade, but
especially
not
since
that much.
The number 2 overall prospect right now is Gavin Lux, who is a shortstop for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I think I'm taking fucking crazy pills here. Why would they do that?
When these rumors first started coming out, the Dodgers were apparently very clear that they would try to trade for Frankie, but that Lux would not be included. And that just doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to trade for a superstar shortstop but not give up a superstar shortstop prospect? You're already filling that hole.
One of the two of them would conceivably move to second, I would guess, or you could move Turner off of third, but that seems... I guess there's precedence there because A-Rod moved from short to third to come to the Yankees, but, is that what you want to do?
Is the Dodgers' issue.
But it's also weird because all right, so unless you want to have Gavin Lux on the starting roster next year, he's going to start in the minors, so it's do you have Francisco Lindor come to play shortstop with the promise of him moving over to third when Gavin Lux is ready, or do you start having Gavin Lux take reps at third to come up at a position that's not his 2 months into a season? It's dumb. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. I don't get what they would do. Or do you have one of them move to second? I don't get what the point would be. It just seems like so much work for no reason.
You know what? Don't play a third baseman. Don't play a second baseman. Play 3 shortstops. Just have them all stand together.
It's the new shift. Yeah.
Tie the middles guys shoes to the 2 guys next to them so they're all tied together and have to run as one.
We call it coordinated baseball.
That's exactly how that would unfold too.
Yeah.
Very coordinated.
Yeah. We live and die as one. How do you throw to third? You don't.
You don't.
You give up third base. Third base is now assumed. Yeah, so the Indians could be a threat depending on what they want to do. The Twins is as weird as it sounds for a team that just won 100 games, they're a huge question mark in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
Because of their pitching. So, and the fact that, what's his face is 39, Nelson Cruz.
Damn, is he really almost 40?
Yeah.
He'll be 40 by the season starts, I guess.
Oh, either that or like in the middle of next year. But yeah, like in 2020, at some point, Nelson Cruz will be 40.
It's so weird. Like, I know I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but like I'm so used to football about like when guys get old, they just kind of die. And then like baseball and hockey to an extent, not really, a little bit basketball, but like guys just play till like they die, but it's like 10 years longer down the road than in football.
Oh yeah. Like, what Frank Gore is doing right now is ridiculous.
It doesn't make any sense.
I love it.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, I would never touch a running back. Like, if I was a GM, I would never sign a running back older than 27.
How old is he now? Is he 36?
Yeah, he's I don't know, 65? Does it matter?
Yeah, it's amazing to me. It's also sad because, like, old man baseball is fun because it's like, oh, he's standing there. He's still got his bat. Like, his swing's slower. He doesn't run so fast. But, like, he's trying.
Ooh,
old man football gets sad really fast.
Oh, yeah.
Old man football is not nearly as cute as old man baseball
it's
is.
sad.
Old man football is like, oh, he died on the field.
It's like, man, that guy, like, he gets to retire with a lot of money, but, like, it won't be a fun retirement.
He needs a cane, and he's 36.
Like, he most definitely has CTE and will be dead by 45.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, old man football is a big old yikes.
Meanwhile, when guys like David Ortiz retire, it's just like, well, I guess he doesn't count. He got shot.
Bartolo Colon.
Yeah, exactly.
Bartolo Colon's just fat and happy in the Dominican Republic with his two families. Like
beating on little kids on the baseball field.
Yeah.
Pitching against 12-year-olds.
He could be throwing 70, and it would be like the fastest pitch they've ever seen.
If I was like from the Dominican Republic or like one of the
You're not?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
But like a country where baseball is so huge.
Dilo mío personal.
Just like, if I could do what Bartolo Colon did, where it's like, make so much fucking money in the majors, like, I can't count it all, it doesn't matter. And then go back and like be so loved by like 12-year-old kids that I could just throw fucking gas against them and they still love it. Like, if I could be 55 years old just throwing heat against like an 8-year-old kid and they're applauding me for it, that's peak existence for a baseball player.
Yeah, you'd be worshipped. I'm trying to think of who this player was. I think it was Reynaldo Lopez, which is why I have his baseball reference page up, who was, I think, naturally left-handed and was like a pitcher when he was a kid. And it's just like the most fucking Dominican story in the world. And he got his left hand hurt. Like, he injured it. Like, bad. Like, he was in like a car accident or something. But he didn't want to stop playing baseball. And he didn't want to stop being a pitcher. So he just learned to throw with the other hand. And then made it to the majors.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Is it... amazing.
So I think like his left shoulder's like super fucked up and his right shoulder's just like totally cool.
Damn. That would be crazy if like he could genuinely be a pitcher that throws both and like be successful. I don't remember the guy's name who does it. He plays for the Giants. Pat Venditti. Yeah, does he still play for the Giants?
When I remember him playing, it was for the A's. But I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But like, imagine a guy like Reynaldo Lopez who has serious promise, but also just happens to be ambidextrous the way he throws.
Well, the Yankees have a player like that in the minors. He's a switch hitting, switch pitching catcher.
What?
Yeah,
that's a goddamn unicorn.
I know.
That's a gold-plated unicorn. Those are especially rare.
I know. Yeah, so he plays catcher. He bats from both sides of the plate, and he pitches, and he can pitch with both arms.
What did his parents sell to the devil that allowed him to be able to do all that?
Like 95 cents. Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, Devil has crazy discounts around Black Friday.
Wait, you paid your next 3 kids' souls for that TV? I just gave the guy a high five. Oh, wow.
You had to suck his dick? Like, I just gave him a pat on the ass.
Yeah. Get a little reach around. Devil loves to reach around.
Yeah, you know, CeCe's actually naturally right-handed too.
Did not know that.
Yeah, CeCe writes with he does everything else with his right hand. He just throws with his left hand.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's a few out there.
I do everything left-handed except for hit. I mean, it doesn't make me a good right-handed hitter, but you know, I swing that way.
Well, when you make it to the majors, Corwin, it'll be a great origin story.
Cool.
What else did we have to talk about?
Jacoby Ellsbury.
Oh, yeah. So, also, apparently the Yankees are coming after Jacoby Ellsbury for that $26 million that they owe him.
What?
Yeah, apparently they're filing a grievance against him.
Why?
Because during his rehab, apparently he sought outside doctors and outside rehab clinics that weren't approved by the Yankees, and that there might have been steroids involved as well.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, are they going full Redskins for players wanting to have good medical coverage, unbiased? But, the steroids thing. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
so go after him for that.
Honestly, though, even if it wasn't the steroids, I could see it because he's been out for 2 entire seasons. If he was getting the advice of, outside clinics, and that's what kept him out for 2 entire seasons, because, that's really suspicious. Mm-hmm. The fact he's been out for 2 entire seasons. The last time he played was the 2017 ALCS.
Do you think the Yankees are happy with that contract?
No. Although, can I tell you what the most impressive part about the Jacoby Ellsbury tenure with the Yankees is?
What?
How many catcher's interferences he's had.
It's true.
How many? Do you know how many it is?
I know it's fucking insane compared to anyone else, but I can't think of a specific number.
Just with the Yankees, 22.
That's a lot.
In 3 years.
That's
4 years.
I can't remember ever watching a baseball game that Jacoby Ellsbury hasn't played in where a catcher's interference has been called.
He, I believe, has the all-time record for most catcher's interferences.
He has to.
But the thing is, he beat Pete Rose to get it. Pete Rose, who holds the record for most games played in MLB history. And Jacoby Ellsbury, whose career got cut very, very short, and has played, I don't know, I'm going to look it up, 9 seasons, maybe? And Jacoby Ellsbury, in that short time, has more E2s than anyone else. That's nuts.
Man, guy just likes sliding into home plate like Pete Rose. Arrested Development joke.
Career OPS plus of 103. He's so average. He's such an average person.
How many All-Stars does he have?
1.
Really?
1 All-Star, 1 Gold Glove, 1 Silver Slugger, and 2 World Series rings.
Didn't all of that happen in a single season?
All right, so he played from 2007 to 2017, so 11 seasons. Third place Rookie of the Year finish in 08 because 07 he barely played. And then in 2011 he finished second in MVP voting. He got his All-Star, he got his Gold Glove, and he got his Silver Slugger, and they won the World Series that year. So yeah, it did happen all in the same season. And then he had one 15th place finish in MVP voting in 2013, his last season with the Red Sox. All right, can I look up, is there a way to see?
Can you give me a stat line at some point for that crazy season?
Oh, the second place finish?
Yeah.
Yes. He led all of baseball in plate appearances with 732 and in total bases at 364. He had 212 hits, 46 doubles, 3 triples, 32 home runs, 105 RBIs, 39 stolen bases, 15 caught stealing, 52 walks, 98 strikeouts, a slash line of 321, 376, 552 for a 928 OPS and a 146 OPS plus. This is a good season.
That's a very good season.
This is a really good season. He didn't lead in anything though, which is weird because that's a really high batting average and a pretty high slugging. It's not a super high slugging, but that batting average is really high, and he didn't lead anything in it. That's a lot of bases though. Is there no way to see? I want to see how many. I'm gonna look up Jacoby Ellsbury catcher's interference because there's got to be a way to keep track of this.
Call him up and ask him.
Catcher's interference record holder Jacoby Ellsbury. Tell me more, MLB.com. 30 times.
Holy shit.
30. That's so many catcher's interference.
Is his swing just that elongated that it just happens like that? Or is it just black magic?
That's the thing. It's such a weird... Can you call it a skill?
Maybe?
Because it's such a weird, skill to have. Because, here's a gif of him doing it.
Yeah.
And I guess he does, keep his arms kind of straight at the beginning of his swing, so the bat would be pointing farther back. But he's also a pretty small dude, so can't imagine it's that outrageous.
It's not like it's me with a 7-foot wingspan. If I'm holding a bat and I swing it, it's gonna catch the catcher.
Do you think him being short actually makes it easier because the catcher sets up low, so being small? Because he's not short. He's not like Altuve short. I think he's 5'10".
I have no idea.
You know what I mean? Because he's lower to the ground, and catchers tend to set up pretty low, and pitches come in pretty low. So maybe you being tall would actually put you at a disadvantage for catcher's interference because you'd be so much farther.
I'd just swing over him. Yeah.
Yeah, could that? But I guess the theory is though, if you're a hitter, you're going to try to go where the ball is. So the bat's going to go where the ball is. So height actually should be irrelevant here. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to put the bat where the ball is going to be, which is also where the catcher's glove is going to be. So those things are going to meet all... I don't know how he keeps doing it. I remember seeing it a lot, because in 2016 he legit had 10. Not really, but he had a lot of them. And every time he would just look back at the ump and go... And he'd tap his bat, and he'd go, I hit my bat. And the umps would go, oh, okay. And we would just kind of be go to first.
All right.
And he would just be cool, thanks, man. And then walk to first, and it's
what just happened?
It's how does he keep doing it? How does he just keep doing it? I don't get it.
Do you think he was getting signs from the dugout?
Yeah. Apparently, every time there was 5 bangs because it was very specific. There were 2 bangs and a whistle.
Yeah, a buzzer on his hands.
Do it.
Charge, and then he'd charge the catcher with his bat.
In the ass.
Aggravated assault. Oh, all right. You went a different place.
Oh yeah, Daddy.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. So the modern, what's it called? The modern baseball era Hall of Fame is winners. Name who? People who go to the Hall of Fame.
I don't know.
Selectees. Honorees.
The committee in charge of this decision?
No, the committee elects people to the Hall of Fame. So electees? Is that the right word? If the people going to the Hall of Fame?
Oh. I don't know.
The modern baseball era electees is the word we're going to run with. Will be announced in a couple of weeks. So with the last few minutes of the podcast, we figure you could just run through this list. We don't have to do too much in depth with it. These are basically players who have been out of baseball for a while, players who have fallen off the 10-year traditional Hall of Fame ballot, which will be voted on, or at least it's being voted on now. The results will be announced in early January usually, so We'll circle back with that later. But the modern era players will be announced much sooner. They'll be announced in a couple of weeks. So we figured it's a little bit in advance. We'll talk about some of these players a bit now, maybe go into a few of them a bit more when we find out if anyone from this group actually will get elected to the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to give you some names, Corwin, and you tell me what they mean to you. And if nothing, I'll give you some stats.
Cool.
At least what is presented here in front of me, as I don't feel like doing more research. Dwight Evans.
Nope.
Dwight Evans was a Red Sox. He made 3 All-Star teams for the AL. He won 8 Gold Gloves, 2 Silver Sluggers. He was a right fielder. 19 seasons. A lifetime 370 on base percent. 2,446 hits. A bunch of other stuff I do not care about. Yeah, that's about it. What do you think? Is that a Hall of Famer?
How many Gold Gloves? He had 2 Silver Sluggers, 3 All-Star appearances.
8 Gold Gloves in 19 years.
I mean, I can't say, I don't know who this guy is, so just going off of those things, it doesn't sound like it, but I am definitely firmly in agreement with people that say you can't just elect people to the Hall of Fame based off of accolades. But I will do that right now because I don't know them, so no, he should not.
Yeah, I kind of am leaning strictly based on this as well. 19 years is the most impressive thing about that career, and that's
100% in agreement.
That's not a good thing.
Maybe 8 Gold Gloves is...
But 8 Gold Gloves in 19 years?
Yeah, like
every
that's
other year?
Not even, like less than that. But still, 8 Gold Gloves is 8 Gold Gloves.
And I'm sorry, but you don't get to tout the counting stats when you play for that long. So, like, 2,446 hits over 19 years is an average of 128 hits a season, and that's, like, really not impressive.
That's
in the slightest.
Yeah.
That's a bad season.
I could not get that, but, you know.
Well, no, neither of us could. But, like, no, it's not a bad season, but it's not a good season. It's a pretty mediocre season.
Yeah, I'm not on board with this guy.
Hey, Dwight Evans.
Fuck you, Dwight.
Fuck you. Yeah, get out of here. Get out of here.
2 guys sitting on a couch who've never seen you play. Fuck you.
Lick my balls. Steve Garvey.
Does he host Family Feud right now?
Yes. Yes, he does. Famous baseball player Steve Garvey, currently the host of Family Feud. You nailed it. White man Steve Garvey.
Hey, I thought we were talking... I thought we agreed that we weren't going to talk about race.
Yeah, it's not race if you're white.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You got me there.
He was a first baseman, also played for 19 years. With the Dodgers and the Padres, 2,600 hits, just about. I rounded, sue me. 10 NL All-Star team selections. He was also the 1974 MVP. He has 2 World Series MVPs. He has 2 All-Star Game MVPs, 4 Gold Gloves, and he won a Roberto Clemente Award. This is a lot here.
Yeah, that sounds like a guy who should have already been elected to the Hall of Fame.
This is such a weird comparison because fuck Dwight Evans, Steve Garvey. Like,
did he kill a man? Did he kill a person who was like a voter for the MVP or not for the MVP for the Hall of Fame, and that's why they were all like, "No, let's not add him."
So he expired from the BBWAA ballot, which is like the regular Hall of Fame voting ballot. Consideration after lasting 15 years on the ballot, back when it was 15 years instead of 10. He peaked at 42.6% of the vote.
Would you need more than 50 or?
You need more than 75, I believe. Yeah, because I think Messina got in with 76.2. Okay. So I think you need 75 or more. He gets my vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 MVPs, 2 World Series MVPs. And he's a great guy off the field with the Roberto Clemente Award. Like, what doesn't he have?
I don't know. I honestly can't even think of a fun joke because this is astonishing.
I get that, like, maybe some of his regular stats aren't super impressive because 2,600 hits also isn't a ton over a 19-year career. And they don't mention any of his, like, batting averages or stuff. Like, I say that just because that's stuff that typically gets looked at. I'm not saying that's the end-all be-all of looking at these things, but I mean, 2 MVPs like that's a lot. 38 WAR.
That's that's a good chunk.
Oh, no, it's weird. He only has 1 MVP. I wonder if the website's wrong.
I remember you saying 1 MVP when you were reading it.
Oh yeah, the 1974 MVP. My bad. Yeah, and then 2 World Series MVPs. Although he does have another second place finish here. Lifetime batting average of 294.
That's pretty damn good.
Lifetime batting line 294, 329, 446 for a 755 OPS and a 117 OPS plus.
So he just had no power.
No, singles machine. But hey, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, get him in there.
Put him in. Tommy John. Now, this will be an interesting one.
I'm surprised he's not in the Hall of Fame. I just feel like a guy with his name recognition would get voted in.
And that's why I think this will be an interesting case, because of his kind of like off-the-field contribution. So, Tommy John, 26 seasons.
Holy
he played
fuck.
forever.
Yeah, no wonder he had to have the surgery. Jesus.
61.5 WAR. I'm just going to read off his baseball reference page because it's a little bit easier. The only accolades he has is 4-time All-Star.
In 26 seasons.
Yeah, that's it. He has 2 second-place finishes for Cy Young and 1 fourth-place finish. and those came in his age 34 through 37 season.
Jesus, I don't even think of a guy to like compare him to now.
So he has a lifetime ERA of 3.34, 2,245 strikeouts, a 1.283 WHIP, a 3.38 FIP, 4,710 innings. Yeah, so the thing with him is he the world's most impressive pitcher? No, not necessarily. He did play for fucking ever, though.
Yeah.
His WAR, which is technically the counting stat, is high enough to get him in, and he is the namesake of what the most significant surgery in baseball history.
Oh, far and away.
Which was, it's easy to say now, like how non-risky that surgery can be because everyone and their mother gets it. Position players get it now. But at the time, like, it was a big deal that he did this.
Yeah. I mean, considering how far we've come and it still takes guys over a year to come back, goddamn.
So I'm all in favor for this.
I am too.
He's one of those guys when you find out he's not in the Hall of Fame, it's like a...
What?
Yeah, it's like a, really? Him? He's... by far, one of the most recognizable baseball names.
Oh, of course.
Even if you don't know the sport super well, because you just hear, oh, he got Tommy John surgery.
He has a great underwear brand. Tommy John's.
Tommy John's is an underwear?
I don't think it's him, but there's an underwear brand named Tommy John.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I think it's Tommy John.
That brings us to another Yankee, Don Mattingly. Wow, what a disdainful Let's read off some of Don Mattingly's baseball reference page here. He won an MVP, 6-time All-Star, 9-time Gold Glove, 3-time Silver Slugger. He also has a batting title, and he was the TSN Major League Player of the Year, which I do not know what that is.
I'm surprised it's listed on Baseball Reference because it doesn't sound something,
It sounds so insignificant.
Yeah, it's like the fucking ShopRite Little League Player of the Year.
What do you think is more significant to have on someone's Baseball Reference page? This TSN Major League Player of the Year or Little League World Series champion?
I would much rather have Little League World Series champion.
You know what, though? I'd actually love to have that.
That would be fantastic. Like, that's something you keep on your resume.
Because that'd be cool, because then you could see, like, all right, who's been good forever? Like, I want to look up Cody Bellinger's Baseball Reference page. I want to see what's on there. It's not.
What about Todd Frazier?
No, it just says he met Derek Jeter once.
Nah, damn.
So Don Mattingly, 42.4 wins above replacement. His lifetime batting line. I scrolled right past it. 307, 345, 471 for an 830 OPS and a 121 OPS plus. He finished in the top 5 in MVP voting 1, 2, 3 times in a row. Top 10 finishes 4 times in a row. He finished 7th place in 1987. He won the award in 1985. He led the league in a bunch of things a few times. He led the league in plate appearances once, hits twice, doubles twice, RBIs once, batting average once, slugging once, OPS once, OPS plus once, total bases twice, and sacrifice flies once. Not that anyone
Wow, Don Mattingly, superstar with all those sack flies.
You can hit it far, but not out, Donnie.
Oh, I've missed you.
Oh, thanks, pal. So it's interesting because he has all the star power in the world, but his career was relatively short because of his back injury, and you can even see it in his baseball reference page, how kind of I don't want to say dives, but how quickly things kind of come to a conclusion in regards to his accolades. It's weird to call a 14-year career short, but in a lot of ways it was.
Didn't play for 26 years.
He didn't, scrub.
Fucking loser.
It's tough because I'm a Yankees fan, so I want him in, but at the same time, looking at this more objectively, I'm kind of on the fence. I could see it going either way. He's a super famous baseball player with enough hardware to make him borderline, but at the same time, he's also borderline enough with a few missing categories to where I could see if you're a more stringent, keep the hall small kind of person, I could very readily see you saying no.
Yeah, I mean, it's Don Mattingly though.
Would you be upset if he got put in?
I can't say I'd be upset.
Would you be outraged if he wasn't put in?
No.
It's kind of how I feel
very
too.
Indifferent either way.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, I care a bit, not that much.
Easily in the Hall of Very Good.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Yankees legend?
Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely. Is he in the Yankees Ring of Honor?
I believe his number is retired, yes.
Okay, there you go. That's all you need because the Yankees are baseball.
I mean, yeah, we are. That brings us to another very interesting case. Marvin Miller.
I don't know who that is.
Marvin Miller might be the most significant person to not be a manager or player in baseball history.
Was he a scout?
No, he was a lawyer. He is the guy that heard Curt Schilling's case against baseball that went all the way to the Supreme Court and ended up actually founding and then being the first president and running the Major League Baseball Players Association.
Okay. You went somewhere
He
with
created
the
free
Players
agency.
Association. Okay. As you were like leading into that, I was like, so he got a court case to be. He basically took a court
Wait, I
case
said
to the
Curt
Supreme.
Schilling. I meant Curt Flood. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I
Like,
said Curt Schilling.
so
I
this
meant
is
Curt
very
Flood.
recent, and all that.
Curt Flood. Jesus,
Yeah. I
what
mean, if he, when you put it like that, yeah, he makes a good case to be in the Hall of Fame. Like he changed baseball.
Oh,
How
yeah.
many people could say they changed baseball?
Oh yeah. This guy's a big deal.
Yeah.
So he actually said earlier in his life that he didn't want to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't forget what the reason was. Maybe I don't even want to speculate on it because I forget what the reason. He had a reason though, and so I think the initial leaving him out of it was to honor his respects in some way. But at the same time, if you want to look at the Hall of Fame as a museum, which in many obvious ways it is,
Because
He's-
it's literally a museum.
he's a big fucking part of that
Yeah.
shit, and he should probably
Has
be
he-
in there for
has
posterity.
he passed away?
Yes.
Like he's
he is
and
deceased.
to his death, he said, I do not want to be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't think this was like a big like sticking point for him where he like went to his grave saying, "Don't put me in the hall." But I believe this was something he had mentioned.
I mean, if his family can basically come out and be like, look, no, he didn't want to be in the Hall of Fame, then I think you have to honor that. But, I mean, if it was just kind of like, I don't want to be in the Hall of Fame, just like in passing, if he has passed and it's been, a respectable amount of time, baseball is bigger than one guy.
Baseball player salaries during his tenure as the head of the Players Association increased tenfold.
Holy fuck.
Like what he did for people who play baseball
Here?
is immeasurable. It's absolutely immeasurable.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, before this, what was the last big change? The color barrier?
It depends on how you want to quantify change. Because color barrier obviously is much bigger for the world, but
Right.
like expansion was also a really big deal for baseball, and that happened in 1960, even I think 19 or is that 60, 65, somewhere in the early 60s. I always forget. So, but like that happened after the color barrier, so depends on how you want to. Color barrier more significant, but expansion more recent.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I would guess that would be like it, because the whole reason Curt Flood was so fucking pissed off is that you couldn't deny being traded to a different team.
Yeah.
The Cardinals traded him to the Senators, I
I thought you
believe.
said he wasn't a player.
Marvin Miller wasn't a player. Curt Flood was a player.
Oh, that's why the case was okay.
Yeah, and the whole case was so Curt Flood got traded from the Cardinals to the Senators and didn't want to go because he liked being a Cardinal and he didn't want to move his family.
Mm-hmm.
And the baseball basically just said, well, it's too fucking bad, you're going to go play for the Senators. And he said, I don't want to play for the Senators. Because the whole thing was, if your contract was with a team, they could do with you whatever they wanted. You couldn't be traded, and if they wanted to re-sign you, you got re-signed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there really was not
what?
free. Yeah, there was not free agency.
But like, damn. All right.
Yeah, no, like you as a worker were basically owned by the team. It was ridiculous.
Holy shit.
And so Curt Flood did not want to do that, and he sued Major League Baseball over it. And Marvin Miller was the guy who took his case. And Curt Flood ended up never playing baseball again, but
probably left a sour taste in your mouth after that.
Yeah, it did.
That's something.
But Marvin Miller kept up the fight, and he ended up, like I said, being able to create basically what is now considered free agency, and got to see the rise of, Catfish Hunter, the first major free agent, Nolan Ryan, the first player to get $1 million a year. Like, he saw a lot of a positive over his tenure. It's a really big deal.
Nolan Ryan being the first person to make $1 million a year, and Bryce Harper has a $300 million contract.
Yeah. Jack Greinke makes $30 million a year.
Jesus.
Also, he was the institutor of 10-5 rights, which is a big deal, too.
That is pretty big.
For anyone who does not know, if you have 10 years of Major League Baseball service time and 5 years with one team, you can veto trades for yourself. So this actually came up like 2 years ago for Adam Jones. It was his last year in Baltimore, and Baltimore wanted to trade him at the deadline to like get some stuff back because they were trying to rebuild. And Adam Jones didn't want to move because he said he talked about his wife and like didn't want to move his kids and like all the normal adult people things that would keep you from wanting to move abruptly in the middle of like July. And the team was like, "Well, we want to trade you," and he said, "I have 10-5 rights. I'm not getting moved," and that's because of Marvin Miller.
And that's the reason the Orioles suck.
Yeah. So I would love to see him in the Hall because he's such a significant part of history. But they're going to do it.
It's one of those things where it's like they have a very strong case to get in, but he wasn't, specifically well, he was. He was the head of the the MLBPA. So
yeah, and we see like execs get in all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I think he should get in 100%. He has my vote. He has my vote that doesn't count for anything, but he has my vote.
Which brings us to another interesting case, and yet another Yankee. Yeah, this one whose jersey is hanging on my wall.
Derek Jeter?
Thurman Munson.
Is that Derek Jeter?
That's Thurman Munson.
Oh, okay.
Owner of one of the most righteous mustaches in baseball history.
That is the only reason I know who Thurman Munson is because of Thurman Munson's mustache.
Thurman Munson is an MVP winner, a Rookie of the Year winner, a 2-time World Series champion, 7-time All-Star, 3-time Gold Glove winner, 46.1 WAR. But keep in mind, as a catcher, the bar for catchers is usually much lower because they accumulate far less WAR. His career batting line, 292, 346, 410, a 756 OPS, a 116 OPS plus. He got MVP votes to some capacity in 6 straight years, including 1 win. He also got some MVP votes in his rookie year, but not enough to be significant. This is an interesting case because, for one thing, he does have some hardware. He's got 2 rings. He's got some gold gloves. He's got the MVP, which is a big one, the All-Star nods. But the reason that this is such an interesting case is his career was cut very short because he died. He died in a plane crash.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he died in a plane crash like mid-season.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
He was flying like his personal like small private plane. I think it was like to visit his wife or to go back and forth from like the game to see his family real quick. Like it was some short little thing like that. And there was just a problem with the plane, and it crashed. I think he was actually going like from, I want to say Cooperstown, of all places. Or somewhere in, it was somewhere Ohio. Somewhere like not a populous place.
Right.
And, he just, like his plane malfunctioned. I think there was a rumor that he might have been like inebriated. It's the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was such a big deal because the MLB didn't give the Yankees players bereavement, and the Yankees actually forfeited the next game so that they could go to his funeral. And he was the team captain.
That's insane that the MLB would be like, no, you can't reschedule this game. Even though we reschedule 100 games a year, not 100 games, but
honestly, between all the teams, like it's a lot of fucking games.
Right. Your captain dies, a potential Hall of Fame player dies, and it's like, nah, get out there and play.
Yeah.
He got popcorn to sell.
So yeah, they forfeited the game to go to his funeral. And they didn't award a captain after that for like a while.
That's insane.
Don Mattingly was the next one. Like captain for the Yankees is a big deal. It's not an oft given out award, or not award, title. So I would actually say yes to this. Even Yankees fandom put to the side, just because he's such a monumental player who did so much in short time, and given the circumstances, I think he kind of deserves it. But what do you think?
Well, after that heart-wrenching story and having some context, I think he should get in.
All right, let's try to power through the rest of these, especially because I know fewer and fewer names. Dale Murphy.
Why don't you just pick and choose your spots?
There's not too many left. Dale Murphy, back-to-back NL MVP winner with the Braves. 18-year career, 398 home runs, 1,266 RBIs, 7-time All-Star, 5 Gold Gloves, 4 Silver Sluggers. What do you think? Dale Murphy.
Sure.
You know what? I say maybe.
Yeah.
two MVPs is like, that's a lot of MVPs.
That is a lot of MVP. That's more than I have.
Most players don't even win one. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Thank you for letting me know. How many you got?
I have 5.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, most venerable person. I'm awful.
Yeah, you are.
Dave Parker. 19-year career with the Pirates, Reds, A's, Brewers, Angels, and Blue Jays. I knew you were going to say that. 399 home runs, 1,493 RBIs, 2 batting titles, MVP. Won a World Series with the Pirates.
Wow, that's hard to do.
And won a World Series with the A's.
It's a little easier.
Yeah, those A's teams were great. What do you think about Dave Parker?
Based off of just that, I can't give it to him.
Ted Simmons. Simmons fell just 1 vote shy of election when they voted 2 years ago. How sad.
Yikes.
Catcher, he had 285. He has 2,472 hits, 483 doubles, 248 home runs, 1,389 RBIs over 21 seasons.
That's a lot of seasons.
Huh?
That's a lot of seasons.
Not 26, though.
No, it's not. 21 is, in fact, less than 26.
He played for the Cardinals, Brewers, and Braves, helped Milwaukee reach the World Series in '82, but not win it because that team's never won it. Simmons was an 8-time All-Star. He had a Silver Slugger Award. Wow, there's some really specific stats here, which usually means he's not that great, so I'm going to say no.
Yeah, fuck him.
Like, listen to these last stats that they give. He bat .303 and hit 21 home runs for St. Louis in 1980.
Wow.
Like, that's such a specific stat. Like, he's not good.
Yeah, that's not great.
All right, final one, also a pretty interesting case. Lou Whitaker. Let's see.
Is he related to Forrest?
Huh?
Is he related to Forrest?
Yes. No, he's not.
Does he also have a droopy eye?
Yeah, but it's the other one.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, Lou Whitaker, let's see, it's at 75 WAR.
That's a lot of WAR.
Rookie of the Year, 5-time All-Star, won the 1984 World Series, 3-time Gold Glove, 4-time Silver Slugger. He never led the league in anything. Okay, wow, that's shocking.
Wow.
For so much WAR. He has a lifetime batting line, 276, 363, 426 for a 789 OPS and a 117 OPS plus, 2,369 hits. He got MVP votes 1 single year. Yeah, by all accounts, this is like not a very what's what I'm looking for? Illustrious career?
Yeah, like,
but he has 75 WAR?
I don't know how the WAR is that high. I don't know how it could get that high.
Oh, you know what? Let's look at his DWAR. 16.3 DWAR.
It's a good chunk of DWAR.
That's a lot of DWAR. 67.7 OWAR, which is still like enough to get him in the Hall of Fame alone. So, I guess just like a low-key, consistent hitter. Yeah.
Matt Chapman. If this guy was named Matt Chapman and Matt Chapman had the exact same setup of accolades, I'd be 100%. But because it's not, and it's Forrest Whitaker's cousin with the droopy eye, I'm going to go with no.
I wonder actually if he'll get in this time because he fell off the ballot in his first year, 2.9% of the votes.
Wow.
In 2001. And WAR was not a common stat in 2001.
No.
Because if you look at the rest of his stats, like we just did, it's not impressive.
No, it's not.
But clearly he was like good enough for long enough to accumulate, like, how many seasons did he play? 19 seasons. So, you know, like, he probably was just like an under-the-radar type of dude who just, like, held it out. So I wonder if this time around, like, they'll take WAR, which I know this is being voted upon by a group of older people, but it still makes you wonder if they can...
Old white men.
Yeah, if they'll take it into consideration. For reference, it's just about a 4 WAR per season rate. So, yeah, a good, not great player for a long time is still... I don't know. 75 is a lot, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I can't say I would put him in, but he makes a case for himself.
He does. All right, that's all the players. I was going to talk about Jamal Adams, but fuck it. Save it for later. Anything else?
No.
Is it good? Does it feel good to be back on the couch?
It does feel good. It's very relaxing. More comfy than my desk. Who would have thought?
Yeah, funny how that works.
I should get a couch in my office. My room. Fucking.
You know, my office where I sleep.
I'm so fucking pretentious. Goddamn.
Where I masturbate. Shall we get out of here?
Yeah, I gotta go masturbate.
Oh, nice. Is that what you're seeing Ethan about?
Yeah.
All right, well, if you want to follow this show on Twitter, you can do so at JuicingPod. If you want to hit us up via email, you can do so at juicingthenumbers at gmail.com. And if you want to hit us up, find our show notes, you can do so at juicingthenumbers.wixsite.com/website at juicingthenumbers.com. And until Thursday, y'all have a good one.
Bye.